So yesterday we started talking about what happens once a game is created and then a player, so a person, which I think I'm going to call member. It was clear that's been a confusion between player and person, that they are two different things, and it's clear that it's very obvious for me to mix them up. So I'll probably rename that because I don't like user, but I like member. Again, that's what I use is in the terminology of ensembler. So I'll probably go that way. Anyway, so once a member joins a game, they are a player. So members are the things that have subscriptions, that have accounts, that have profiles, that have names. They're the thing that they are the entity that has a user login. So they are the long-term thing, which is, again, very much like Ensembler. You are members, and then you can join ensembles, and then you are a participant or an observer, a spectator. So here, I'm basically just changing person to member. And so when a member joins a game, they are a player, and the first thing they will see is something like this, basically a modal that will sort of show, you joined, somebody else joined, somebody got disconnected, and then a big old start game button. And so when the start game button gets clicked, that starts the game. And then things will go from there. I use the term user login because that's the concrete Spring Security name for things. So there is a user login authentication, but I'm going to subclass that, and I will be calling that a member. But there's a core user object in there. I will be avoiding using that term because that doesn't have meaning. That's a technical term. That's not a domain term. So the domain term is member, which contains information that comes from the technical user. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do TDD game user. Although, well, as the technical implementation, possibly, yeah. But as the domain object, the domain value object, no, sorry, domain entity, because they will be an entity, then it's member, yeah. All right, so let's click there. And so let's see where we're at. I guess let's go ahead and do the rename because we shouldn't wait any longer on that. So let's go to person. We will rename this to member. Badly chosen aggregates or aggravates. I love that. I will be quoting that from now on. Is that the only variable used? Oh, I must be person ID for all the others. No, just do the refactoring. I don't know why you're offering to preview it. Just do it. I didn't say preview, just do it. Let's go to person ID because this is now a member ID. And we'll select all those. No, just do the refactor. Just do it. Yeah, like you, yeah, member it is. Do we have any other reference to person that's not in a text file? So we've got some places. Wait, what? Oh, let's go fix that. I'm surprised it didn't change that one. Well, we'll fix it. Let's do a file mask. So all of these will have to change. I honestly think I can do a search and replace on that. Are those all lowercase? 22 matches, 11 matches, 22 matches. Where is person uppercase? So what we want to do is preserve case. Did you know that this was there? This little hidden thing here. So what's nice about preserve case is that it will preserve the case. So if you're doing a case insensitive search, which is what I'm doing, it won't change things to lowercase if they're in uppercase. So for example, which one is in uppercase? This one. So if we go there and we do this replace all, note that this M is uppercase to match what it originally was as person. I feel like sometimes like there should be, huge advertisements like use this feature. And it's such a it seems obvious, like of course you'd want that. That seems like otherwise you have to basically do two search and replaces, search for the uppercase version, search for the lowercase version. But it seems obvious after, it already exists that this isn't always available in all situations, in all applications. All right, so let's run all our tests. I hope we haven't broken anything, but we may have. Look at that, we didn't break anything. Let's run all the tests though. I just want to take a note. Looks like all the tests pass, so let's go do another search for person. Person no longer exists in Java files. How about in HTML? So that's a problem. We'll have to fix those. So for those, we'll just do a replace. Which leads me to believe that that is not tested, but that's the UI. We know that that's not tested. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that's when Spring Boot 3.3.0 comes out, although I don't really have to wait for that. But I do want to start doing some HTML, whether it's HTML unit. I might also play with Playwright. We'll see, but I do want some tests for that because that's right now a hole in my testing that I'm totally upfront about, that I have not been testing the front end. Yes, I think we're down to the one disabled test that we don't have. I basically put aside the view loader, so that'll come back. Oh, game's not used. Created game can be found in repository. Sure. Why am I holding on to it then? So let's run all the tests again, and then we'll do a commit, and we'll get on with our visibly useful work. So renamed person to member to avoid future confusion. You got to be committed to work in this industry. Or if you work in this industry, you're going to be committed? I don't know. All right. Player has member ID and player ID. That feels backwards. I'm going to swap these because that feels backwards. Okay. Let's see. So player, they're in the ones in the game. Member ID, that's just a record. I assume player ID is also just a record. Yep. All right, so let's go look at Jira again. So we got to the point where that's domain, where we processed the join. Right now we're making up the ID, and we want to redirect to the game in progress. So the game in progress page is basically this. This will eventually be and this modal will be on top depending on the state of the game. So this is the page that will have the WebSocket, the HTMX, all that stuff. So the next step I want to take then, what do I want that to look like? So someday this pane will be useful to you. I think I want to create a page that basically does this, although now this is per member ID and member store. So let's go rename that. Okay. Yeah, I think I basically need to finish out sort of this code before I can go to the game in progress, because right now this is hard coded. So this is going to require me to now implement the member store. Am I doing event sourcing for members? So members are certainly a separate aggregate. So don't know why that text is so... Let me try again. Yeah, you got a problem with Comic Sans? That's the default sort of hand. It's not Comic Sans. I'm not sure what it is. It's actually more just handwritten. Um, so a member turns into a player when they join the game. What does member have? They get stored in store. Okay, not sure what I was doing with that. So no person there. So I'm not sure I need to say as a player, because if you join a game, by definition, you are a player. Oops. What the heck happened? That was weird. Okay. I probably am gonna have to go. I didn't want to do a full search and replace, but I think I'm gonna have to. So let's do a replace all. So this already makes clear what that transition is, I think. Yep. All right. So let's go look at the test for this, which would be not that one, would be that one. So I think what I want is to make clear where that member ID comes from. Because right now it's like, well, how do I know it's this one? This is not obvious from this test. You know, where do I see in this test that number 42? We're gonna, can we, let's see. So I will always be able to get the principal or an authenticated principal. I can also, directly using Spring Security, also have, I could have the member injected, but that's the domain. I don't want to inject that directly here. I think I'll keep it simple for now, and I'll do the lookup. So sort of the way I think of what I'm going to do is look up member in member store using that. Thank you, Cody. And then once I have the member, then I'll have the member ID. I think then So does join, so the question I'm pondering is, does join take just the member ID? Or does it take a full-on member? This join certainly takes a member ID. This one, though, I think... No, this might take the member as well. So, yeah, so I'd done member ID because game should not hold on to a reference to member as an object because it's an aggregate. However, when it creates the player needs to know the name, and so it needs to get that information from the member. So I have a choice of passing in the member ID here. So now I'm wondering about this. Because the question is when this call comes in, so this is a post from an endpoint. I will know a principal right now. Principal has just username. That's all it has. I can use another object. The question, so the thing is I need a member ID. So how do I get the member ID? I could just store that in on the page. That makes me a bit uncomfortable because I mean I've got cross-site. I've got the CSRF, so I'm not too worried about cross-site request forgery. I guess it doesn't matter. Well, that's the thing. So this is what I'm sort of going roundabout. So here, if I get principal, I get their name, and so I can do a lookup in the member store using that name. The question is now I've got a member object. Do I basically just pass in the member ID? If I do that, then here, I have the member ID and they join the game. And then here, when they join the game, we basically create, where is that? Here, we create a player and all we have is the member ID. So this is always interesting. It's like, so do I store the name inside the player? This is what I'm getting wrapped up about, wrapped around the axle, as it were. Do I store the member's name in the player, or do I fetch that when I'm going to display stuff? And this is really minor, and I'm probably overthinking it. But basically, when something happens, so when we display these events or these names in here, do we get those? Is it already in the player object, and then we just have to transform it because it's already a string? Or do we just have IDs and then we do a lookup when we translate it to a view? Yes, Astrid, I was just thinking about what if I want to change my in-game name. That would lead me to the player's name is inside of player. And if it's just name, then I think I can just pass that in as a separate parameter. And then I'm not worried about passing in a member object. So, and I saw your other comment, Astrid, I'll get to that. So here, I pass in basically member ID, player name, and game handle. And then that would just be passed down into player. And then at some point, there'll be a feature to play, you know, what would you like to be called in the game? And then that gets passed in instead. I think that's probably the most straightforward way to go. If it turns out there's a lot more information I need to sort of move from member into player, I'll deal with that at that point, and I'll know more. Do I need a game host abstraction? I don't think so. I think I think that's the game joiner right now. And the player joins game application use case. That really is what this is doing. Oh, look, 404 not found, redeem dark mode. All right. So I was actually pretty amused because there's a course on accessibility that I'm taking, and inside the course you can choose between light mode and dark mode, except for one page where it's only in dark mode. And I was amused because it's like, you offer light and dark everywhere else except there. It was kind of funny. All right, let's go to, what did we like? Did we like Violet? I forget what we used last time. Did we like Violet or... No, not Storm. Oceanic? I think Oceanic I didn't like. So it's either Jerry Dark or Jerry Violet. Anything dark works. Let's go with Jerry Dark. What plugin is it bugging me about? Ha! That's funny. It wants me to upgrade the themes. What's new? I like the Violet. That's fine. Let me update it. This won't count against your dark mode time. What? No, I'm not restarting for that. Too bad. All right, so let's go to Violet. It's like it unloaded the plugin because recently there was over the past year or so, there was a change in the plugin architecture, and you could, for some plugins that didn't have sort of certain types of features, they could unload it and then load the new one. So it unloaded it and then said, oh well, you need to restart anyway. No, not now. Okay. What else are you bugging about? No, go away. All right. Let me set the timer for this. There we go. Nope. There we go. Okay. So we will look up the member in the member store. We will hand in the name, and that's what we're going to do. So that means I need a member store. This is not where you buy members. This is where you find them. So back to my earlier question is our members event sourced? Right now, all they've got is just an ID, and I'm about to add on a name. So I think I'm gonna not worry about event sourcing this yet, because I saw that, because when I do need it, it'll be easier. But regardless, a member ID and a name are going to be required. So those are going to be in the constructor anyway, so it won't change anything. So how often is that used? Wow, it's only used in one place. So let's go ahead. How do I want to do this? So I think we'll modify this test to add in a name. We'll go ahead and add that as a no, this is name. We'll go ahead and create a field for that. Actually, why isn't this a record? I mean, eventually it might be a class, but for now, let's make it a record. Eventually, this might have behavior that we want as oh, this doesn't match. Let's make it match. Now I can convert it. No? Why won't you let me convert it to a record? To heck with you. Let's just do it. I'm not sure why IntelliJ... I must be missing something, but I'm not sure why it's... So we'll just do it manually. That should be the same, right? Yeah. Don't know why it didn't do that. So let's go commit that. That was just cleanup. That was just a comment. That was just a name. Okay. Okay, so now we've got that, and what we'd like to do is extracting member ID. And name. That should be Teresa. Player doesn't have name yet, so we'll need to add that. Let's go to player. So player is only called from there. Let's drive it from here. And we'll fix that. And we'll create a field for that. And we'll create where'd the getter go? All right. Yeah, Benny, usually it does. I don't know. There must have been some mismatch between something that I wasn't seeing, and that's why I couldn't do it. But it usually offers it if it's as simple as it was. Okay, so player now has player name. This needs to be a tuple. Whoops, lost something. So this will fail because I don't believe we're passing that along. We are not, so that's right. Right, we got our hard-coded thing here. So let's pass that along. Player joins game. Nope, game joiner. So that goes here. We'll have to pass it up from there. That goes here. And then we apply it in our apply, which is here. So player join. So the player joined event is going to have to be modified. So let's go there. Now see, IntelliJ, what is up with you? It thinks it's not used anywhere. Well, for sure that ain't true. Unless it's not directly referenced. No, it's directly referenced right here. All right, Jonas, I'll reset the timer. No, it's not just in test, because I'm doing that right here in the apply method. That's interesting. I wonder if it's not picking up that it's used as a record pattern in a switch block. Is that a bug in IntelliJ? Because clearly if I go to usage, it takes me here, but it doesn't seem to recognize that. Yeah, I think it's busted. Because if I look for new player joined, oh no, it's in queued, of course. I can queue it right here. So it's used right there. I have found the find usages of records is still been a bit weird. But that's really annoying. Okay. So where do I get the member ID? I get them when they join, right? So if we back up from here, we get to here. And if we back up from here, we get to here, which is where we know we're going to need to add the name. All right, so let's start pushing out then that that information. So when we enqueue a new player joined, is that one event or two? So is it player joined and then player assigned name? Or is it just player joined with their ID and their name? Yeah, I'm thinking one event two as well. Because sort of as a constraint, we can say a player has to have a name. All right, so when we create this event, let's just add it, and we'll do string player name. Actually, I should do that as a change signature. Someday IntelliJ will finally fix the layout problems on these dialogues. Someday. I know it's a hard problem. So this is a string. Player name. Default value is default player name. A refactor. Oh, look, now it shows usages. It must have had a bad index somewhere. So let's look at our enqueue, where it didn't actually change the signature. Is that a bug? What exactly did it change? Did it do anything? I don't think it changed anything anywhere. So that's interesting. Let's try this again. Boy, when your tools fail you, it's really frustrating. Yeah, what the heck? Even if I didn't provide a default, then it would basically it should still it would still put something there, like it would put null or something. Did I reach my quota already? So what time is it? This has been so 12:50 p.m. So change signature. So I have a feeling it's very much related to the fact that it thought it wasn't used, and so therefore couldn't find the usages in order to change them. That's what I suspect. All right, so if it's looking for usages and then for each one basically fixes it, if it can't find the usages, that's a problem. Let's see if we can invalidate. That's a repair. Everything works now. No, that's not true. Let's see if a rescan of the project indexes helps. Nope. Let's reopen the project. Index, index, index. Nope. And I don't think it's a drop shared indexes problem. Let's try a full restart. Let's just restart because we already fixed the indexes. It's not looking fixed. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't think I selected violet. Let's see. Yeah, I just selected Darkula. Let's go to violet. That's violet. That's a little harsh. Let's see. Can we convert this to a class? Okay, so now it finds usages. So it's definitely a record usage problem. And I've seen this before where it gets confused about finding usages of that. So now if I do a change signature here and I add the type of string, that's player name and default player name, and I refactor, now that actually worked. And so now I can convert it. Now it won't let me convert it back into a record. Oh, well, this time I know why, because this isn't stored. So let's go ahead and create a field for that. And then let's go ahead and create a getter for it. And then let's go ahead and move that up. Now this is interesting. So here it's now suggesting that it can be a record class. Note that this method is not in the style of a getter, it's in the style of the way records do getters. This one's a getter, but it seems to be recognizing that it's a getter. But if I change this to be the style in a record, well, now it still offers to be a record class. So I don't know what's wrong there. But now I can convert it back to a record. And it's kind of hilarious that it basically gives me all this, which I can now delete again. So, lesson there is convert your record to a class, do the refactoring, and then convert the class back to a record, which is not the fun way to do it. But now we at least get everything fixed. No, that's not Nightbot's newsletter. I guess maybe it should say subscribe to Ted's newsletter. All right. What's interesting is this is now wrong. But now we can do this. Okay, so we're getting closer. We now have the default name. So let's go and propagate that out. We can get rid of that. Close that. But it's so frustrating that I can't frickin' find it. Oh, I know dark mode's over. If you think I didn't notice. I'm giving you some bonus dark mode time. So where the heck did that go? Default player name right there. So this needs to come out as a parameter. So let's push this out as a parameter. This becomes player name. And now we can go and find the callers to this. So here, we now push this out to player name. And then from here, we have default player name. And this will get from the member. All right. So now, from my test, I can now put in this name here, although it should actually get this. No, I have to copy it. So I can basically do member player name. Does this not exist? Did I not add it to member yet? Oh, it's just called name. Right. That was Cody's fault. I'm blaming Cody because Cody suggested player name, but it's actually name. Now that should pass. And it passes. Let me just make sure. I probably have in some places default player name for some tests. Right, member has, so the member's name gets copied into and becomes the player name. Later on, there'll be an option. What name would you like? Hello, Astrid. What name would you like in the context of the game? By default, it will be your member name, but it could be something else. But right now, I'm just going to be copying it. But in the context of a member, it's just their name. Whatever. Your choice. Um, let's replace this. I think this is all in tests. Let's actually pull this out into a constant. And this is irrelevant. And then we'll change this to be irrelevant. Go to this test class and we'll do the same thing. Actually, this one we will keep. We'll just call it player name. What was I looking for? Oh yeah, default player. So this one, that's fine. This one I want actually to be paid attention to, so we'll do the same things we did before, which is player name. No, player name. This one will be, again, a tuple of that and that. Okay. Let's run all the tests. I don't think anything should change there. Then we can do a commit. Excellent. Let's just make sure that default player name is only one place, which is there. Okay, great. So let's do commit. Added player name to player. That's it. All right. Get on your sunglasses because I'm about to turn back into light theme. Let's do that. And that. You've been warned. There we go. Incoming. All right. So now we've got. We're still going to use principal to look up the member. We'll get their ID and name. That's what gets handed in here. We still want to get away. So I think the next step is basically get rid of this hard-coded piece here. Because what we'd like is this is the username. So we want this to be looked up. Actually, what is this implementing? Yes, I know it's, but what are you implementing? So this is a little bit of an interesting situation. Like, I know this is a single abstract method. Therefore, I can use a lambda here. But I can't seem to figure out how to ask IntelliJ, what's the name of the method? So I can do F1, which tells me the interface I'm implementing, which is principal. I know that. But I can't hit F1 or parameter info. Tell me what the interface name is. That's unfortunate. Because I'm like, what is this actually here? Well, I can just expand the lambda body. That doesn't help. I can convert it to an anonymous class, and that tells me that basically it's get name, which is the username. And the reason why I was curious about that is because this is not the username. This is, or is it? Actually, this is the username. I was thinking the lowercase, but the lowercase, that's the password I use. Okay, so this is the username. There we go. What does extract lambda do? Does extract a method reference, which basically creates a method, and then you get a method reference, which maybe is useful, but that doesn't help me define what interface I'm implementing. Okay, so what I expect then in this particular test is I wanted to look up in the member store this thing, get its member ID, and then use and then have an associated name because that's what members have, and use that in the game. In order for that to work, game joiner is going to need reference to a member store. Yeah. So that means I need to define a member. So let's go do that. Here I don't want to use 42. We'll use 89. So that's a member's. What's confusing is that there's actually another name I need. So this is the name. Like, hi there, what should I call you? Then there is the what's actually needed is the username. So right now I'm just sort of sketching because I realize there's actually two names that a member has. What's basically the key that I'm going to be looking up is the one I get from principal get name. And then there's their hi, what should I call you? Maybe nickname is the right term there. And And those are two different things. And that's also required. Yeah, I don't like display name because that has connotations of it being displayed. I'll probably go with nickname or real name. But I think nickname is probably what I'll go with. So, all right. So we've got in member then. This name is actually nickname. Is it all lowercase? I guess so. Preferred name? I don't like display name, even though that's how it'll mostly be used. I think nickname. But then we need, in addition to that, well, it's not an alias. It's like there's a minimal amount that you need to provide to sign up. And it'll actually probably be more than that. Because this is the name that will be used sort of like how to refer to you when I send you an email. How do I refer to you basically in outside of game situations? And also then your default name for in-game situations. It won't hold all of the information that I might require you to authenticate because I'm going to be externalizing, delegating authentication to somebody else, like Kind or one of those services. But I do need... Because what I get from authentication is your username, right? I know you're this username. Usernames are unique. They are tied explicitly to... in fact, they may not even be readable. Like I might be using a service where it actually gives me some UUID-like thing that is actually not a name. So I'm going to keep that as nickname. This is the username. This is the or authenticated name. We'll call this auth name because this is the name that this is the name that I will get from authentication. So if you authenticate through GitHub, it's whatever your GitHub username is. If I authenticate using Kind, then it'll be whatever username you used there. It may not even be a username. It may be Kind's unique identifier. But this is basically what's going to be the key to look up in the member store. All right, so I don't want text occurrences. So I'm only using it in 2 places, so this will be an easy fix. Yeah, so let's add let's do that. Let's add it as the 3rd component. Do that. We'll go to our usages. So that's where we are now. This other one. And I'll leave this as is that okay? So let's do a commit. Let's make sure I'll test pass. All right, so let's do a commit. All right, so let's go into our ubiquitous language. Oh, I didn't turn it off for Markdown. So this is our storage of members of and so the nickname becomes the default name. Or when joining the game. And then auth name whatever. Okay. Did I say everything? Yes. Ah. So we use this basically to cross-reference or to member in our okay. All right. So now I've got a member. They have the 3 pieces of information that we require when they join the game. So we got to basically create some way for them to so this username this get name equals auth name. That's what kicked this off. Is this is the auth name. And we want this to contain exactly 89. I could ask for the player name at this level. I don't see that's necessary. Okay, so now this test will clearly fail because we've hard coded 42, right? So now now we need some way to look it up. So let's go. I'm not going to make it pass by just hard coding 89 here. So we now have enough information to look things up. Pretty much just going to copy this. And so we're mapping. Boy, I don't like string. Do I want do I want something else? I would like auth name, but I'm not going to do that yet. So this maps to member, and then this is member map. Member, so it's auth name to member map. Come on. And then basically all of these are member. So we got find all. I don't need find all. This is not game. This is member. And this is auth name. And this is find by auth name. This is basically a wrapper for a map, but that's fine because this will eventually become a true port that will then store in a database. I don't know if it was much slower. So now what I want is a new member store. And then no, not add, save. And then I pass in the member store here. So this game joiner looks good. We'll go ahead and add that as a parameter. And we'll go ahead and create a field for that. Now Spring is not happy. That's fine. We'll go ahead and make Spring happy. So that's config. Hey, look at that. Cody knew what I wanted. Thank you, Cody. Sabini asks, why did I choose to name it store as opposed to repository? Because two reasons. One is certainly, at least for game and eventually probably for member, I'm going to be using event sourcing. So it's less like it's not a repository, it's still a repository of aggregates, but store for me provides more meaning around, oh, this is storing events. The other reason is it gets very confusing when I name my port member repository or game repository, and then the concrete technical implementation is also a repository because that's what Spring Data used. And sort of that, I think it's unfortunate that they're using a domain term for a technical implementation, but it is what it is. So to avoid confusion, I'm using store. So for both those reasons, that's why I'm using store. Because when you see, if we saw a game repository and then game JWC repository adapter and then game DBO repository, it gets still a bit confusing. So. All right, so now it has a member store. So now if I do, instead of this, let's pull this out. This is member ID. And so this should be able to be member store, find by auth name, principal get name, and we're getting a member, so we want to map that. We want to get a member, or yes, store is definitely quite overloaded in the number of meanings it has. Yep. I think I'm going to have to do an or else throw. Eventually, I will do something else. Actually, I do need to check for member name here, so let's do that. Yes, that's correct. So this will fail. We should be getting the ID now, but it'll fail because we're not using their actual nickname. And that's exactly how it fails. So it fails as predicted. Now we can basically get rid of this, get rid of this comment, and this comment, and then player name becomes member dot. No, not player name. Stop it. Nickname. That should now pass. Excellent. All right. All right, Jonas, have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. So Astrid asks, how does a new member become a value in the store? When they, whatever the onboarding mechanism is. which I have not even thought about. Likely for a little while, it will be, I haven't seen you before. So when you log in, it'll give you ways to log in. And if you register and it's like, I don't know you, I'm just going to put you in the member store. Eventually, there will be an onboarding process of how does somebody become a member? Either you've bought the game, the physical game, or you've bought a subscription to the online version. So no, you did not miss it. All right. Those are the IO free tests. Let's run all the tests. I thought there might be a failure here because of the member store. 404 depends on where you are located. If you go to this site, you'll get the information on that. It's about $100 US for the game, plus shipping, plus any taxes that you might have to pay. So this fails, unsurprisingly, because when we join, there's no principal, or at least there is, which is this fellow. So let's get at least a somewhat nicer error message. All right, Astrid, have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. Where is the... That's the member store. That's member. That's this. That's the handle. Here we want to say, or else throw not a runtime exception. We'll do is that your parting gift, Astrid? All right. Oops. About something like that. So member not found with that. Thanks, Cody. Oh yeah, I won't forget the timer. I wanted to get that exception message in there. All right, so now if this when that test fails, I'll get a better more useful error message. Oh, interesting. Because it's an authentication failure, It's actually not as useful because Spring interprets this in a specific way. Let's not do that. Let's just do runtime. Yeah, so that's good. Okay. So, why did the timer flip over? There it goes. All right, so now we've got to make sure that this username, so I'm going to say blue username. What we need is to make sure that we've got a member store. So member store. No. Member store. That. Now, come on, Cody. At least give me code that works. There is no member create. There is new member. But it takes more information than it takes a member ID. I don't think the member ID is relevant here, so we'll just say new member ID. So this is the auth name. That should now work. Yeah, it does. Great. So let's go commit. All right. So now, where are we in our Jira? Well, we haven't gotten to here yet. Because now we got basically join to sort of be correct. So now we have join, and now it's the actual person who is logged in is joining, which means we should actually now be able to see what we weren't able to see last time when we actually tried out the game. So I'm going to switch to the browser, which is going to be bright, so hang in there. I don't have a dark mode for the app. I guess I could create one. So blue is going to log in. There are no games. We see that it recognizes us as blue. We'll host a game. Player count is now 0. If we, as blue, join the game, this we expected because it redirected. No, because we're not putting this is the question to Astrid's earlier question, which was how do people get in the member store? We don't actually add them to the member store. So let's fix that. So in our security config, we basically create these users. How do I want to do this? I think what I want to do. So actually, in member store, this does not actually give the member an ID. Eventually, that will be the responsibility of the member store, but that's not currently what it's doing. And I don't want to add that to that right now. So, can I inject member store here? Looks like I can. So I guess let's add the member store as a parameter to this method. Because then in here, what I can do is member store save. This is not username. Actually, in this case, I guess it is. We'll just append that. Right now, this member ID needs to be unique. I guess I can create a... Actually, let's do this. And then we'll turn this into a field. Yeah. And this is all temporary until we get that onboarding mechanism for sort of registering new members. So here, in a sense, what I'm doing is I'm creating the security aspect so they can log in. And then I'm also saving them in the member store so we can associate the logged in user with the member store. So let's try that out. And this is all scaffolding that eventually will go away. So we'll host a game. We'll go ahead and join the game. This is expected because we don't have a game in progress page yet. But now if we look at the lobby, we see player count equals 1. If we log out and log in as something else, someone else, and we join game, we now see player count is 2. And that's what we weren't seeing before because we had hard coded the member ID. So it was always the same member joining regardless of who was logged in. Now it's actually who's logged in. In fact, if we inspected the game itself, we would see both blue and yellow are in there. And we can host a new game. I guess we can join multiple games. Do I want to allow that? That's a separate question. Grumpy Turkey 7. So now this has player count of 1. So now the yellow user is in both games. I guess it's not my problem if you join 2 games. Okay, so that all works. Let's go do a commit, and then I'm going to take a break. So we'll take a break. When we come back from the break, we can finally start looking at the next thing, which is now that I have members who we've identified, authenticated, so we know who they are, we have their usernames, they're in the member store. Now when they join, we want to start working on the game in progress page. Initially, it'll just be, here's who's here. But also then start to set up the WebSockets so that we can see dynamically as people join. But first we'll take a break and then we'll go ahead and do that. And I'll switch away from dark mode when we come back. So as I mentioned before the break, now that we are having our members join the game and we know who they are and we can differentiate between different members, now we can go ahead and start setting up showing the game on a page. So let's start from the outside. We're going to create a new HTML page. Let's go grab some components. So what would you like? We'd like sort of a modal of some sort. It's kind of alert-like, but it's really an overlay. Yeah, here we go. What do they got for dialogues? So those are those. It's really more of a I don't think the alerts give me anything better. No. Yeah, the slide overs are sort of coming from the right. That's not quite what I want either. Yeah. And the notifications are just going to be sort of upper right stuff. Yeah. I'll probably use notifications in-game once the game is started for things like somebody connected or disconnected. but that's not what I want right now. So I think we'll just grab something like that. I don't need any of the transition animation. So let's grab that. One thing that would be nice that if they had, I don't know if they're working on it, but they have a playground. It would be nice to sort of copy it into the playground. It's funny, actually, this layout is actually almost more what I want. That's kind of funny. So maybe I'll use that. So let's take out their image. Take that div out. Take out that. So instead of that, I probably want something like what did I have in my mockup? So let's say something like waiting for game to begin. And maybe this is an H1. So class equals text XL to XL. Fonts bold. And we can get rid of that image. Something, here's who is here. Let's say, so blue, this is you. And we can basically say strong. And then the same thing for, so this is yellow. Probably an H2. And something like that. And then in this section over here, this is going to be another H2. Hmm. Where is this line coming from? Uh, I don't know where that line is coming from. We've got, that's padding. That's the shadow offset for the whole div. That's padding top. That's the text color. Hey, Sweetie. I am baffled where this line is coming from. It's got to be a border top, but I'm not seeing it. There is a border top width. On this element. Oh, the divide gray. That's what it is. Yeah. Not the divide Y, which just divides stuff. It's, so if we say, yeah. That's what it is. Thank you, Sweetie. Instantly helpful. So let's grab that. I don't need that much. Okay. I think I want a bit more. So that's mid height screen. Padding Y. Oh, that's because these are doing it. Yeah, I don't care. I am not making this responsive. I am assuming you're on a desktop. Yeah, that's good. And let's see, what do we got? That's all good. Okay, so let's grab the whole thing. And let's go ahead and create our HTML page. So the CSS course I'm taking is actively not Tailwind, which is totally fine. The instructor uses a not Tailwind. He does use some Tailwind for certain utility classes, but in general, he's more concerned about sort of scaling to large projects. To me, it's much more important to understand CSS, because once you understand CSS, then Tailwind is just a different way to do CSS. Where are my resources? All right, so let's go. Let's copy this one. This is our game in progress. I want to call this game in progress. Maybe I just call it game. I've been going back and forth about this because it feels weird to go to game in progress where it's not technically in progress, but it is the same page. Yeah, I'm just going to call it game. I might regret that, but so we're going to get rid of all of this. We'll paste all of that in. Yeah, I mean, you really like you can't use CSS effective. You can't use Tailwind effectively if you don't understand CSS. And I think Tailwind is fine for sort of, I mean, different people have different things. I think if you have a component system, then it's fine, because then you can just push all these classes up to the components. But it does get hard to manage. If you're copying and pasting a lot of classes, you're probably doing it wrong. Yeah, I mean, in this situation, it is a game view. It's just there's this dialogue, but that's still part of the state of the game. So let's fix that. If I was going to have an intermediary page of like waiting for game to start page, and then it redirects you to the game, then I might have a game in progress page, and then I'd differentiate with the two. But since this is one page that's fully dynamic, then that's not necessary. All right, so let's go do a commit. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need to redirect to a specific ID. Yeah. Not yet. Pretty soon. So what I do need here, because I don't have Tailwind in this project, let's go and grab I could just grab the generated C. That seems like a lot. Like, I don't think I'm using all of these. Yeah, I'm definitely not using all of these. But it's not that huge, so I'll just copy it. That's a very amusing that's amusing what it suggested there. Let's go and create resources static. So create a new file, static game CSS. All right, so let's see if that previews correctly. No. No, because it doesn't understand the same thing. So let's do href static game CSS and then href game.css. There we go. And I lost my time wave. All right, so we joined redirect to the game. What we want to show there is, let's clean this up a bit. So we're gonna, this li is gonna repeat so that means I don't need these others. So the li is going to repeat. So we're going to do on this, we're going to do a th each. What do we want? We want no. We want players. Right. Oops. And then for each player, we're going to have everything the same except for this. Player name. I'll have to figure out a way how to change it so that it displays that this is you when it's you. I'm not gonna worry about that right now. Notifications. Okay, I can just delete that here for now. I think that's all I need. So we're gonna need player. So these are player views. That's useless. And I probably want to change this icon because right now it's not bad. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. Yes, eventually I'm going to have to assign pawns to players, and therefore colors to players. Yeah. What else do I want? I do... Actually, I think that's it for now. Okay, so that means what I want is I need another controller that will serve up this endpoint and convert the game into so I do need one more piece of information. Which is this. What does that look like? Yeah. And this might become a link, so that way it's easy to invite someone. So game view handle, so then this is actually from the game view will contain the player views. Okay. So this adapter is going to be, this controller is going to be playing game. Let's try that. So let's go ahead and create, oops. So this is game, playing game. This is a controller. And let's start writing a test. So this is an MVC test. So we'll grab stuff like this. I wonder if I should have a base class. to inherit some of these tags. Well, only one of that's probably not worth it. And so this is playing game. That, and that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's like, this is going to be the same for all of them. This is like, oh, this will probably be the same, except when it's not. This is certainly different, but I could create my composite annotation to provide that class. And then this is like, oh, this will probably be the same, except no, maybe not. And so it's not worth it. Especially since the class is just so small. So this is going to be a get request. I'm just fascinated by the suggestion of Cody here, which is not at all what I want. Nope. Would you like to try again, Cody? There you go. Now, apparently, I don't know if I should say this out loud. Apparently, the free version of Cody is supposed to have a limit of 500 suggestions per month. According to the dashboard, I have exceeded that. So, not sure what's going on. All right, so what do we want here? Sure, that's what we want. That likely is not gonna work later on, but for now, that should be all we need. Except we are gonna want, wow, why did it want to do all that? Import static method. What the heck? None of these are appropriate. That's really weird. Why is it not suggesting that? I don't need those. And that will throw an exception. Yeah, I think I feel like I would have exceeded 1,000 anyway. Like the dashboard shows you're at 500 of 500, and apparently it's not counting past that. Because clearly it should be offering those. I don't know. Yeah, definitely a live template, or just a code template for this, for MVC tests would be really handy. Because I'm always going to want to import these static guys, which I hate, but except in, I think it's 3.3.0, we get the new mock MVC assertion, which is the assert.j version of the mock MVC stuff. And so I think that changes. So maybe we don't need it. It is 3.3.0, right? I think I can get rid of this page. RC1. When is RC2 coming out? I'll have to check the calendar. Because they recently changed, and I'm pretty sure it was post RC1, they changed how they were setting up the mock MVC for AssertJ. Let's see. Would this be in Spring Boot? This might not be in Spring Boot. This might be in Spring Framework proper. Yeah, so they renamed it to MVC Tester. So let's see what that looks like. That's the JSON path. I actually don't care about that because I don't do JSON path stuff. Let's see what that looks like. I know we're on a tangent. So we'd have to look. Let's see. Move response body directly in. Better name for entry point. So what are the examples? Where are the examples? Because essentially you do mock MVC tester of your controller class. But it looks like you still have to do the perform get. Which I guess makes sense. Like there are really two parts. There's the do the thing and there's the assert on the thing. This doesn't help us with the do the thing being like the gets being static, which is actually the part I hate more. So yeah, the setup is still pretty similar. I have a feeling this is still in flux because it doesn't look like everybody's in agreement that this is what we want. Let's see. Today is the 21st. Oh, so Spring Boot 3.3.0 comes out Thursday. I guess that's going to be in there, or I guess technically that's in Spring Framework. I mean, the issue is closed, but this is in 6.2, right? So 6.2 of the framework is not in Spring Boot 3.3.0, which you can absorb a different version of the Spring framework if you need it. All right. Anyway, that was an interesting tangent. It doesn't help us get code written, though. So let's go ahead and run this test. This will fail because we've got no endpoint. We got a 404, and we do. Aw. Not what I was hoping Cody would supply. That's actually fine. So now the test should pass. Wait, what? Oh, right. The template is accessing stuff that's not in the model. That's fine. So yeah. If we commented that stuff out, we'd be fine. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna just say that's fine because it's clearly working. I'm not gonna do much more here for this test. I'm gonna call it passing. I guess I could return something else, but that wouldn't help. So let's move on then to the next test, which is the non-MVC test. And this will be now, an interesting question is, can you look at a game that you haven't joined? Well, if I can't get it to pass with this test passing, then I've got a problem. But in a sense, I need to put that other test on hold until I get this to pass because I need to put stuff in the model. So if you want to think about it that way, it's failing for the right reason. Let's put it that way. I think in Jira, there's an open question. So this is done. You might have missed it, Suiji, but everything's called member now. Or at least it's no person anymore. It's all member. Yeah. um, Okay. I just realized, and I mentioned this before, and I realized that I hadn't put that in here, is this can't possibly work. Well, I could, basically I don't have a game handle, or a game ID. In fact, games don't have IDs. We're gonna have to add IDs. Oh wait, the aggregate has the ID. Did I add the ID to the aggregate? No, I don't remember. No. So pretty quickly, although likely not today, we're gonna need IDs. No, they will certainly not be able to. Oh, no. So one of my goals is to not, or I guess one of my non-goals. Anyway, I don't want to restrict players too much because I'd like people to be able to experiment. So you will be able to do things that technically are against the standard rules. In other words, I am not going to have, at least in the initial version, who knows, that might be configurable. I'm not going to enforce rules. So if you discard 5 cards when you're only supposed to discard 3, that's on you. If you move your pawn to places where it doesn't make sense, that's on you. Because in a sense, I'm very much emulating the physical board where it doesn't prevent you from doing anything. And that has 2 benefits. One's less code, but actually more importantly, 2 is it allows people to experiment and come up with different rules. So if you're a player, you can do whatever you want. Observers, though, should not be able to do anything. And I might even want to have a special observer view. Regardless, because I can imagine doing this over Zoom and then the shared screen is sort of the observer view. Actually, no, I don't think that works because if you're a player, you kind of need to see the screen, and so the Zoom is only adding on the sort of the people's social aspects. So I take that back. So there's an observer view because, for example, if I'm facilitating the game, I'd like to be able to see the board. But it doesn't mean I should be able to push stuff around. And yeah, event sourcing, what's nice about the event sourcing is it also, in addition to sort of undo, it also is like, hey, I noticed you did this and this and this. Let's talk about that. Now, there might be a couple of different levels of commands. So there's the event sourced events. I think we'll see how it plays out, how much those match sort of the high level game actions. They're probably going to be fairly close, but we'll see. Either way, one of the nice things will be sort of as a retrospective, you can sort of replay the game, fast forward, have sort of, I can imagine a timeline view and things like that. So there's all sorts of fun stuff you can have. But we're not there yet. So I'm not going to worry about the ID right now. Let's get this to pass, and then we'll probably end for today. So playing game is going to need access to the game store because right now it's just going to retrieve the first game in the thing. So game store. Be nice if Cody was a little bit more random. So that's the game. We won't save the game just yet. Now, why are you having trouble? Oh. That's fine. No, not yet. We want to, no, not member store. We want game join. Yeah, actually that's what I want. So we created the game. Member has joined. The member has joined the game. They are now a player, and now we can, yes, save the game. Then we need playing game. Yes, you're smart enough to figure this out, except actually that's not what I need. I only need the game store right now. Oops. And not quite. And not quite. We do want that. Fascinating, but not at all correct. We don't need the page, we just need it to load the model, so we need to create a model, concurrent model. And we add that. And now we can say assert model dot assert actually it's easier if this is a map, so we'll convert to a map, and now we can say contains, so it contains a game view. Oh, I may as well just extract it. Yes, except I don't need to do that. Do I have a game view? I do. Oh, right, because I display that. Oh, this is a different view. This is a different game view. And this is in our domain. That's not the game view we want. I'm not happy with this name. but it's definitely not what I want. Um, I think I want to rename this. I'm not quite sure where it belongs. Because it's like, is this a value object? Which was, I think, which was my original intent. But it's only being used. Yeah, it's only being used by, okay, so I think this, I'm going to move this. So I'm going to move this to adapter in web. We're also going to rename it game lobby view, because that's what this is about. And I might want to subdivide the lobby stuff into its own package, but for now I'll do this to disambiguate it. So let's do that. Then this is not game lobby view because we want just game view, which does not exist. Okay. I'll leave that for now. All right, so let's create game view. This is going to be, for now, we'll make it a record. And what did we say we needed on it? Let's go look at this. So we said game view has a handle and it has player views. Okay. And then we need player view. That's also going to be a record. That's also where it's going to live. And what did we say player view needs? Name. I guess just name for now. Let's start there. Could a lobby and the in progress game be put in different bounded contexts? Yeah, I could see that. Because they do have certainly very different concerns. The lobby doesn't care about anything that's going on in the game. All it cares about is what's the handle, and probably what state it's in. Like, can it accept new players? But all the other stuff about players in their states, that is not needed for the lobby. So could certainly likely see a read view. So I mean, that was the intent of the game view loader, that the game view is that the game view is all the lobby needs, and that's a projection of the full game event sourced stuff. Now, whether it's so, I think it is a separate bounded context. But that's of course, that doesn't mean we split it, but I think there certainly would warrant a read projection of the game that makes the lobby easier. Because I don't need to retrieve the entire game, right? Once the game is started, the lobby, like, nothing from the lobby's point of view cares about that. Like, how the players are doing, where they are, how many, what cards they have, all that kind of stuff is irrelevant to that. So bounded contexts give us the opportunity to split. It doesn't necessarily require us to split. And it also depends on, like, what's the split. So certainly maybe game status might even be a better word than game view. The lobby only cares about game status, which is a tiny projection of the actual state in that other aggregate. So there's certainly so yeah, so they are different. I'd probably say they are different bounded contexts. And so it certainly, like, you could say the lobby's super busy. We've got tens of thousands of games going on. We want to optimize for that. And that could even be a separate service, right? God forbid we have a separate microservice for the lobby. But I could totally see that. And that would be using different technologies. So, yeah. All right, so let's do this. Certainly this is going to be null because get attribute's going to return null. So we'll go ahead and run our IO free tests. Yep. And now we can put in the model no add attribute. Game view. New game view. We'll just put in a handle and an empty list. That's what I wanted. So that should now pass. So in addition to that, we want I think we can now say sort of is equal to new game view. Actually, I may as well just ask, well, I'll do that here. So new game view, nice try on the game players, but that's not going to work. What we want is player view from game players. And I think this is just going to be players stream map new player view. So this is player new player view that takes just the player's name, player name. So this will certainly fail because the game view is just has an empty list of players and the handle doesn't match. And there's no way to get the players to match either because this basically doesn't have yet a reference to the game. This again goes to how do I want to identify the game here in this request? The human readable name is what I'm using elsewhere. Do I use that here? Or do I use the internal identifier? So the upside to using the handle is I already have ways to retrieve that from the game store. The downside is it's a bit of a verbose thing, but that's not a downside really. It's slightly guessable. Like there is a limit to the number of words used in the human readable library. But unless I use a ULIT or something like that, an incrementing sequence of longs is much more guessable. So how much do I care? I mean, I've already got in the game joiner, I've already got the game handle. So it'd be very easy to redirect to that. So let's do what's easy. So let's actually run all the tests though, because I think the test that was failing for the right reason could pass. Why isn't it passing? It's got game view. Argument type mismatch? Oh, because this is concurrent model. That's not good. Let's try it again. There we go. So now that test that was failing for the right reason is now passing for the right reason. And I think this is a good place to stop. So oh no. Kademlia is raiding with a party of 43. And I say oh no because I am ending basically now. But welcome. Thank you for bringing your party here. Appreciate it. But I'm basically wrapping up. I'll give you a little bit of insight into what I've been working on. So I'm working on an online version of my physical TDD game, which looks like this. So I have the physical version, and I'm basically creating an online version because we're not all in the same place anymore. We're all remote, or often remote, and it's obviously hard to play the physical game when you're remote. So this is sort of my mock-up. And this is what my current mock-up of the online version looks like. I am nowhere near this. I'm just building up some of the inside stuff. And it's Java Spring Boot on the back end, and for the front end, it's HTML and CSS. Eventually, I'll be pulling in some HTMX for the WebSocket interactivity, but otherwise, no front-end frameworks or anything like that. So I have a Discord, as lots of folks do. I have a whole bunch of people there who are who talk about the stuff I do here on my stream, which is test-driven development, Java, Spring Boot, refactoring, all that good stuff. Kademlia, yes, the Spring server, it's all server-side generated HTML, and so I've been doing a bunch of playing around with HTMX. With one of my other tools, which was a timer, and all of the HTML is being server-side generated, and you can't tell the difference because browsers are really good at taking HTML and rendering it, and the amount of HTML I'm sending over is on the order of like K, like not even 1,000 bytes. Yeah, so actually a previous version of this online game that I started some time ago was Vue.js, which I think is nice, but don't need it because like everything here, like I'm not sending the images across each time, right? It's referencing images like anything else, and so it'll just be little bits of HTML, and so it just will be really nice. And the other nice, for me, the main reason why I like it is it then makes it so much easier to test, because then the server is the true source of truth. I know I said true there twice. It's a source of truth for the state of the game. I don't have to worry about like synchronizing between browsers, even though I know there's technologies to do that, and I don't have to worry about updating states. Like the server knows, it saves it, it knows it, and it broadcasts it, and so it's gonna be just right, and it makes it then really easy to test because the server is the only place that has state that changes, and so that's easy to test. So I'm all about testability here, and so I really I'm looking forward to, like, we're just at the point where I now have enough code where the next step that I'm about to work on my next stream is basically, nope, not that. This, which is when you've joined a game, it's going to show you sort of who you're waiting for, who's available, and then you can actually start the game and start playing. And so the point we're at is building this page, and then the next step is hooking up the WebSockets. So sorry, I won't be doing that today, but another reason to join my Discord is to be notified of when my next stream is. So my next planned stream to work on this is Thursday. So I'm usually streaming between 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific time, which is what, 7 p.m., 10 p.m. UTC. So if you join the Discord, I basically give you lots of advance notice, or you could just follow me and hope that Twitch notifications work. So let's see. I think what we'll do is we'll go raid Bald Bearded Builder. So we'll pass along whoever of you from Kademlia's raid hung around. We're gonna pass it along. So that's all for today. Let's go raid. What? That was weird. Just totally refreshed my channels. All right. So you're welcome to stick around for the raid. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you. So I'll be streaming tomorrow as a pair stream, likely with Mike. That'll be here on Twitch and YouTube, and then the next solo stream is Thursday. Check out the Discord for more information about that and about all the other stuff that's going on. We've got a book club coming up, so find out about that. Otherwise, let's go drop in on Bald Bearded Builder.